In this video, I will be reviewing Bleach Chapter 0. A lot of you watching this video might not be aware, but before a series is greenlit by Shueisha, there has to be a one-shot chapter. A one-shot is often a way to test readers' reception towards a new story or manga artist before committing them into a publishing contract. Many popular manga series began as one-shot stories, including Dragon Ball, Fist of the North Star, Naruto, One Piece, Berserk, and Death Note. But most importantly, Bleach also began as a one-shot. And in this video, I will be pointing out the similarities and differences of the original manga compared to the one-shot. And I will also be giving my overall thoughts on the chapter. But before we get into the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, I apologize about the low quality of the chapter. Sadly, this was the only version I could find. And with that being said, let's get into it. First of all, the one-shot didn't have an official title. It was just called Bleach. The most obvious change is the kimono of the Soul Reapers. In the debut one-shot, instead of the plain black kimono, Ichigo is wearing a dark blue colored kimono with stars on the sleeves. And Rukia as well has a similar kimono. However, she has flames on her sleeves. Another huge change is Ichigo's Zanpakuto. Instead of his huge black Zanpakuto that is constantly in its Shikai form, he has a regular katana, and he also has a hilt this time. In the first page, Ichigo defeats a hollow and helps a soul safely pass to the Soul Society. See, in the original Bleach manga, the faces of the hollows are covered with a hollow mask. This is to ensure that the Soul Reapers will not know the human identity of the hollows that they eliminate. However, in the one-shot, the hollows don't have any mask on their faces. Aside from this change, Kubo-sensei kept the same concepts for both the hollows and the pluses. As we all know, normal souls are transported to the Soul Society when a console is performed. However, in the one-shot, souls were transported to the Soul Society with a pass. This pass later made its way into the 1000-Year Blood War arc, but it served a completely different purpose, and Kubo also changes the name of the pass to a soul ticket. Ichigo and Rukia's first interaction was different to that of the original manga. Instead of Ichigo's family getting attacked by a hollow and Rukia giving her powers to Ichigo in order to save them, Rukia instead arrives in front of Ichigo and attempts to defeat a hollow. But Ichigo stops her because he mistook the hollow for a regular soul. Because he could see and touch ghosts, he ended up attracting a lot of them. It was almost like an all-you-can-eat buffet, and the hollow that Rukia was attempting to defeat just so happened to be hungry. Luckily, he wasn't much of a problem, because Rukia easily defeats him. After this, they are seen to be in Ichigo's home, and instead of owning a hospital, the Kurosaki family are the owners of a funeral home. If you ask me, I think that Kubo should have kept this idea because it is more fitting for the story of Bleach. Anyways, Rukia explains that Soul Reapers do not have enough strength to protect multiple souls at once, and because Ichigo had several souls around him, Rukia had to use all of her Soul Reaper powers in order to protect them. Therefore, her body ended up shrinking. This means that Kubo originally wasn't planning for the Soul Reapers to be as powerful as they are now. It was going to take 7 days and nights for her to regain her Soul Reaper powers. And because of this, Ichigo had to do her job for her. And just as they were having a conversation, they got an alert for a new job, and it stated that a classmate of Ichigo called Orihime Inoue had died. Orihime'S death is probably the biggest difference between the one-shot and the original manga. But aside from this, her backstory is also slightly different from the one we were given. Both her brother and mother were dead, and she lived with her father. But he also shortly passed away, and Ichigo's family were in charge of his burial. It is revealed that Orihime fell down the stairs of a shrine. And in case if you didn't know, well then, the typical stairs of a shrine is long as hell. Ichigo arrives and he explains to Orihime that he became a Soul Reaper. But because Rukia was interrupting their conversation, Ichigo decides to knock her out. He then proceeds to cut off Orihime'S chain of fate because it was still connecting her soul to her body. And he explains that if he didn't cut it, then she wouldn't be able to go to the Soul Society. Shortly after this, Orihime'S dead father makes an appearance, and he states that he heard that his daughter died, and because of this he came over to the human world to pick her up and guide her to the Soul Society. It is worth mentioning that the dad was never given a name, so I'm just going to refer to him as the dad. As soon as they leave, Rukia wakes up after getting knocked out and asks Ichigo where Orihime is, and he explains that her dad came to pick her up. Rukia screams at the top of her lungs and tells Ichigo to go after them. This is because Orihime's dad was lying. He was actually a hollow. In the next page, Orihime's dad asks to see her pass to the Soul Society. She gives it to him and he immediately rips it apart. He explains that he won't let her go to the Soul Society. He also attempts to kidnap her, but Ichigo arrives and puts a stop to his plan. The dad states that Ichigo tore his family apart because after he died, Orihime used to pray to him every day. But after a while, she entered high school and made new friends. She stopped praying to him and instead spoke about Ichigo. And to keep her by his side forever, Orihime's dad came to the conclusion that he had to kill her. He admits that he was responsible for his own daughter's death. And after this confession, Ichigo is immediately overcome with anger and attacks him. The dad snatches Orihime and tries to get away. However, Ichigo rushes in to stop him, but Orihime grabs his sword and drives it through her and her dad's chest. Orihime explains to her dad that she never forgot about him and that she just wanted him to realize that she was happy. She apologizes for making him feel lonely, and shortly after this, he is sent to the Soul Society. After these events, Rukia's powers are also returned back to her. Rukia and Orihime say their goodbyes and they both leave for the Soul Society. But shortly after this, they return back to the human world, and Rukia states that the higher-ups have heard of her disgraceful behavior in Karakura town. Therefore, she was refused entry into the Soul Society. Because of this, she comes up with a plan to tell Ichigo that they're back in the world of the living for a different purpose, and the chapter ends with all of them reuniting again. There were several minor concepts that were presented in the one-shot, but unfortunately didn't make the cut in the serialized manga, such as Rukia being in the 3rd division instead of the 13th division, Rukia using a tiny pointy item instead of her gloves to separate Ichigo's soul from his body. In addition, Ichigo and Orihime were 16 and they barely spoke to each other. These ideas aren't really revolutionary, so I'm not bothered with the fact that Kubo didn't make use of them. Let me know down in the comments section if you guys think that this would have been a better start for Bleach instead of the original first chapter we got. In my personal opinion, I think that the original was better, but I still very much enjoyed reading this one shot. My favorite idea in chapter 0 was the fact that Orihime died. It would have been a very interesting path for Kubo to take, and I can't even begin to imagine how this would affect the overall story of Bleach. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.